The old radio sat untouched in the attic, dust motes swirling in the shafts of dying sunlight that seeped through the cracked window. Emily had always been curious about the relic, her fingers tracing its cracked leather casing as if trying to unlock its secrets. Her mother had warned her never to mess with it, something about it being too old and not worth the trouble. But Emily's curiosity was relentless. One rainy Saturday afternoon, seeking a distraction from the growing shadows outside, Emily dragged the radio down from the attic and set it on the wooden floor of her bedroom. She brushed away cobwebs and dust, her heart pounding with anticipation. The radio's dial was stiff, but finally, after some effort, she managed to turn it on. Static hissed out, filling the quiet room with a crackling noise. Frustrated, she tapped the dial and, for a moment, thought about leaving it be. But then she heard it. A voice. Deep, muffled, and nearly drowned out by static, it whispered her name. Emily, her breath caught. The voice sounded almost human, yet distorted, like a record scratched and slowed. She froze, eyes wide, unsure if her mind was playing tricks. She pressed the dial carefully, trying to tune in, and the voice grew clearer, more urgent. Emily, come closer, can you hear me? Sudden chills prickled along her arms. She looked around, her room, familiar and safe, suddenly feeling alien and cold. Yet her curiosity pushed her forward. She pressed her ear against the speaker, voice trembling. Who are you? Emily whispered. Silence, save for the ragged static. Then the voice returned, softer now but undeniably real. I am trapped in the radio. I need your help. A shiver ran down Emily's spine. Something was wrong here. Something was using the old device to communicate from the beyond. She hesitated, but the voice's desperation was palpable. Please, it begged. Find the code. Unlock the door. Help me escape. The words sent a jarring jolt through her. What doorway? What code? Her mind scrambled for sense, but the voice spoke in riddles, garbled phrases that seemed to echo from a nightmare. Suddenly, a cold wind swept through her room, though no windows had been opened. The lights flickered, causing her to jump back. When they steadied, she looked at the radio, its dials moving on their own, needle swinging wildly. She reached out, trying to turn it off, but the device was no longer under her control. Instead, it blared forth a garbled, distorted transmission, an echo of whispers, screams, and static, repeating her name. Emily's heart pounded in her chest. She tried to unplug the radio, but the cord was pulled taut, as if held by some unseen force. The voice came again, clearer now, chilling her to her core. Help me, it's too late for me, but you can stop this. The key is in the silence. The phrase made no sense, but it sent her into a panic. She tore at the cord, finally yanking it free. The radio instantly fell silent, and the room was plunged into oppressive silence, far worse than the static. She looked at her hands trembling, then at the device. Her mind raced, desperate to understand what had just happened. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. Every shadow seemed to breathe, shift, and whisper her name. As the hours dragged on, she kept replaying the voice's words, haunted by the notion that someone, or something, was still trapped inside that relic. The next morning, she decided to research. Digging into local archives and online forums, Emily discovered that the radio was originally owned by a man named Harold Craig, a radio enthusiast who had disappeared mysteriously decades ago. His last transmission, after a long strenuous broadcast, had been an eerie plea for help. No one ever knew what happened to him. His house burned in a fire, and the radio was believed to have been destroyed. But some fragments of his final recording surfaced, revealing strange, indecipherable noises matching the voice she had heard. A chill crept through her as she realized that the radio might have kept some part of Harold's consciousness alive, trapped, reliving his final moments. That night, Emily sat with the radio turned off. Her room grew cold, her skin crawling with dread. Then, a faint whisper drifted through the air. Help me. She froze, her eyes darting around. The radio sat silent, but the whispers persisted, soft but insistent, echoing repeatedly. An icy feeling crept up her spine. She knew then. The audio wasn't simply a recording, it was a conduit. And Harold wasn't the only voice trapped inside. From that day forth, Emily avoided the attic and the old radio. But sometimes, when she was alone, she would hear faint static and the sound of a tired, desperate voice calling her name. She would turn, but never see anyone. And she knew that the next time she turned the dial, if she ever dared, she might find herself answering a plea from the other side. Because some audio isn't just sound. Sometimes, it's a scream from the beyond, waiting patiently for the next listener to press play.